That Matters, a family life program sponsored by the Coconut Grove Seventh-day Adventist Church. We are your hosts,
Thomas George
and Marilyn George. The objective of All That Matters is to equip our audience on how to manage various family dynamics. The lessons will be derived from the experiences of our guests. And today we have with us Mr. and Mrs. Brown from Palm Beach, Florida. And I know that they do attend the Palm Springs Seventh-day Adventist Church. Welcome to All That Matters, guys. We are happy to have you with us. And for the benefit of our audience, can you just tell us a little more about yourselves? We'll start with you, Mrs. Brown.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us, brother and sister George, elder and sister George. So happy to be here with you guys. We're hoping that, whatever our experience has been, we've been married for 32 years. We have 8 children between us and 20 grandkids and 5 great grandkids. Yes. So, we have been blessed with a large family. But God has been good, and the 32 years we have journeyed, and the Lord has been there with us, and today we can share our experiences with you and your audience. So praise God for that.
32 years going on to 33. That's a long time. But how did you guys meet?
Well,
we met through a mutual
friend. Yeah.
Well, it was a high school friend. My high school friend. Richmond High School. My high school friend. This young man and I went to school together, high school together. So after we graduated, my husband now, he was his boss, and so he and one of my friends had dated in high school. So he wanted to say hello to her. They had both gone their separate ways, but he figured out where she was and he just wanted to say how she was doing. So he found her, and through asking, and then that's my girlfriend too. So my girlfriend and I still remain friends, although they had broken up. It was a high school sweetheart thing. So when he came to see her, he asked about me and said, because he knew we were best friends in high school, he said, "Are you still in touch with Olivia?" I said, "Oh, yeah, we're still in touch. She lives not very far from here. He said, "Oh, I'd love to see her." She said, "Well, I couldn't just take you to her house like that. I'd have to ask her permission, if I can bring her to your house." And he said, "Okay, if you ask her, we could come back." So while they were there talking, you can tell them what happened while they were there talking to Donna.
Well, first of all, as she said, I was his boss, and we were there talking, and I said to them, I need a wife, not a girlfriend.
So would she be?
And I asked him if she would be my wife.
Well, he asked me if I'm a good wife material. If they think I'm a good wife material, because he wants a wife, So they said, well, yes. I mean, the young man, my girlfriend told me, the young man said to him that if she's still the same person that she was when we were in high school, I think she'd make a great wife. I said, "Oh, yeah, she hasn't changed. As a matter of fact, she's now in the church, because they had gotten baptized by then. She was like, she's now in the church. I was a school teacher then. So she's teaching in high school. She's now going to church. She's well behaved." So they was like, "Okay, well, I want to meet her." So my girlfriend said, "Well, I have to ask first." So she came to me and she said, "Oh," so for the morning I was home, she came, back when we didn't have phones then. It's been a long time. We didn't have phones like we do now. So she walked to my house and she said, "Oh, I met this young man last night and you two would make a good couple." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, you two make a good couple. You two would be just match." I said, "I'm not interested. Why don't you match him with you?" He said, "But no. I think you two will match. I really think you two would match." So anyway, she told me the friend had wanted to come by and if it was okay. I said, yes. I said, yes, he could come by. I'd love to see him. So he had given her his number, so we called his job, and we made arrangements for the Friday afternoon for them to come by after work. And so that's how I met him. He came to my house, and we met.
As a matter of fact, when I spoke with her, the communication between us was very, very good. And I said to myself, she sounds like a wife material.
It must have been something that you remembered about her. That's why you inquired about her. What exactly do you remember about her from your high school days that you wanted to pursue that end?
No, he was not the person. I didn't go to high school with him.
Yes.
My friend. He's the young man who he was the boss of the young man.
Yes.
And I went to high school. So that young man told him about me and my girlfriend. But no, we didn't go to high school together.
No, we used to sort of job together, myself and the young man that I employ. And then, you know, from there on, you know, we developed that sort of relationship.
Nowadays, you know, marriages don't last that long, you know, 32 years. Nowadays, maybe 1 year, 2 years, or even less than a year. So my question is, what is the secret? What keep you guys so long together, 32 years?
Well,
it's trust.
Trust.
And communication is important, because I like to use the communication link as a very good tool to, you know, aspire each other. So I like that side of the communication where you can work things out together.
Yeah, and on my part, I think that, you know, because we both love the Lord, and we have the same, we have the same values, you know, we share the same religion, you know, we go to church together, we worship together. I think that's one of the main things. And also we have a really good family relationship with our families.
Okay.
My family love and respect him. His family love and respect me. Yes. So I think, and the children, you know, although they were not, we'll get into that later, but, you know, we have a good family relationship. Yeah. And I think with her and us share the same values, the same religion, the same church, I think that does add to the communication, like he said. Yes, it does add to that, yes.
Okay.
Since you mentioned trust, has there always been trust, you know, among the two of you? Even in the early stage of marriage, has there always been trust?
Well, in the early stage of marriage, of course, it always been trust, because as a matter of fact, she was here in the United States, and I was back in Jamaica, and I traveled to and from, and you know, I could always depend on her, and she depended on me. So the trust is very, very important in relationship.
And let's talk about money management and things of that sort, right? Because you've said that you've established trust from the beginning of your relationship. Yeah. When it comes to money management, when did your money become her money become your money, or is it my money versus his money?
All right, let me answer that. But I want to go back to the trust thing too. When I met my husband, like I mentioned, we have 8 kids. 8 kids are not my kids. My husband came into the marriage with 7 kids. We only have 1 between us.
Okay.
So when I met him, what I really admired about him is that he told me from the moment we met, he mentioned to me that he had kids. So I could have said, and of course I said, oh no, are you kidding me? I'm not gonna be. And he said, well, you know, my kids, you know, they live with me. They're with their grandparents who live close by, you know, and all of that. I was like, are you kidding me? I mean, I'd be crazy to think of, you know, getting into I don't have kids. you know, I'm young, I don't have kids, I'm going to take on so many kids, right? So that for me was really a big thing because he told me from the very moment I met him that he had children. So the fact that I went into a relationship with him, I went in knowing what I was going into. So
Okay.
that for me was a big thing. So that's a trust. That's something that I thought made me not, you know, was able to accept the relationship because
Okay.
I knew what I was getting into when I got into it. A lot of people try to tell me, "Are you crazy?" And I thought I was crazy too. But you know, it was one of the things that I really liked about him, that he was open, he was upfront, and he told me from the get-go about his children.
Okay.
And I said at that point, I'm not looking at girlfriend, I'm looking at wife.
Okay, so before we go into the money management, let's stay on the kids a little longer if you do not mind, okay? I would like to understand your reasoning
Yes.
in terms of saying that you knew what you were getting into. Did the age of the children affect your decision? What age group are we talking about there? And to you, Brother Brown, you stated that you were now looking for a wife. Is that because you had already experienced life, so to speak, and you wanted now to just settle down with a person, with an individual? So
Well, yes, having those kids, you must know that I was sort of busy.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, I decided I need someone to settle down with and not being like here, there, and everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason why I said I'm not looking at girlfriend, I'm looking at wife.
Okay.
Okay, for me, the kids or the ages of the kids, the youngest was what like two,
Yes,
two,
two, yes.
and the oldest was 18. 18.
Yeah.
The 18-year-old wasn't in Jamaica. She was here.
Mm-hmm.
The youngest, when I say one, it was between his first marriage and me.
Yeah.
Was to the 2-year-old was between his first marriage and me. So when I met him, he was in a sort of a relationship that was, you know, that was broken. So I told him, I said, he knew I didn't have kids. So I said, well, you know, it's sort of difficult for me to accept, you know, the fact that where you are. I said, the baby, the one who is 2 years old, where are you in that relationship? Because I needed to know where he was. He said, no, it's, you know, it's over, you know, it's done, you know, we've moved on. I said, well, okay. So the kid's age didn't really, the only concern I had was a 2-year-old because I wasn't sure where that was. But he assured me that you know, the relationship was over, and then we didn't get married until 2 years after. So we really had enough time to figure out. I really had enough time. It gave me enough time to figure out if the relationship was really over or it was still, you know, going on. So I met the older kids. They came to see me. Introduced them to me. Out of fact, they insisted to get to know me because they realized he was dating somebody seriously. Because he'd come home later, and you know, he was more, you know, more away, and they finally said to him they wanted to meet me. So it was a joke for us for a long time, because I remember he came to visit me one Sunday afternoon, and our relationship was really unique, you know. So he left, so he was gone. So I was getting ready, you know, to get myself. I was a school teacher, so I was getting ready for school, get myself together. I hear a knock on the door, and he used to, whenever he came to the door at my own apartment, he would shake his key a certain way to let me know it was him, his car keys. So I was like, why is he back? Did he leave something? I'm looking around, I said, he didn't leave anything. He took everything he had. Why is he back? So he left the kids in the car, and he came to me and he said, well, you know, I have a problem. I said, what happened? He said, oh, I got home and the kids were all dressed up and said they want to meet this lady that I'm seeing, and I didn't know what to tell them. So I brought them. I was like, oh, I had rollers in my hair, and, you know, I was getting ready for bed. I'm like, but I have rollers in my hair, you know, whatever. He said, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So I said, okay, it's okay. Okay, it's okay. Bring them in. So he went and he got them. They came in such sweet little ones. They were so, so precious and, very respectful. They said hello, and I said hello, and we were trying to feel out each other, trying, to understand each other. But right off the get-go, we had mutual respect, and they seemed to have taken a likeness to me, and I took a likeness to them right off the get-go. So that sort of helped to make the relationship easier. Once I met them and everything was in the open, he had the two other girls, two girls, two boys were with us. The older girl was here. So what we do is, after a while, we started spending time together. They'd come by my house. I could go by his house, and we started spending time together as a family. So it helped. So then I traveled back and forth too. So whenever, we spend time together. So that meeting the children sort of enhance the relationship. Yeah.
Very nice.
I just like to say this. Speak the truth and speak it ever. Cost it what it will. He who hides the wrong he did does the wrong things still. So you can just imagine I was just up front.
Yes, yes. And with that positive thought, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with Mr. and Mrs. Brown, and we will find out how well do they really know each other after 32 years.
Hello everyone, welcome. This is The People's Views and I'm your girl Teresa. This week we'll be doing things a little different, but first here's the question. Would you ask your friend to choose a spouse for you? We're asking you, our viewers, to leave your answers in the comments below. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Before we leave, here are a few quick answers.
Please note that the views and opinions expressed on The People's Views are not those of the Coconut Grove SDA Church or any other SDA church or conference. The views and opinions heard here are strictly that of the general public.
Well, yes. Depends on the type of friend, how close you are. Because like being around a person for a long period of time, they know your likes and their dislikes, so it would be simple for them to choose a certain things for you, and so yes, I'd consider that.
Yes, I would let my friend choose a spouse for me. Depends if it's my best friend, and the reason why I would let my friend choose a spouse for me, because after you've been around someone for so long, you kind of get to know their personality and know the things that they like and from what they dislike. So yes, it could work out and it could go bad also too, but yes, I would let my friend choose a spouse for me.
That's kind of a steep one, but I would say yes. Definitely, I would say yes, because when a best friend really knows you, come on, that's the thing. So I would say yeah, no problem.
Until next time, bye.
Welcome back, everyone, and we have, of course, with us Mr. and Mrs. Brown, and we are going to have the segment right now, How Well Do You Know Me? So our first question to you is,
Who is most spiritual in the house? Who always calls for family worship or for prayer, whatever?
So you just want us to write it down?
Just write the answer, yes, and then show it to us.
Ready?
Go ahead, Sister Brown, can show us.
Okay. We see that. Let's see. Oh, yes.
Okay.
All right.
Wife, and you clarified it with the name. Good.
All right. Next one.
The marker, honey. The marker.
The marker, okay. That's why I didn't.
Write it
Yeah,
down.
we were able to see it.
Yeah, we saw
See?
it.
Okay.
Yes.
You turn it on.
All right. Next one.
No paper. Here, no paper.
This, okay. New paper?
Yeah.
Yeah. Use the same paper on the other side of it. You can use the same paper on the other side. Yes.
Okay.
All right. Next one. Sister Brown, what is your husband's favorite color? And Brother Brown, write your favorite color also.
Okay. Well, this is,
Favorite color. All right.
Oh,
We see
wow.
that. Okay, very good. So far, 2 out of 2. Very good.
When was the last time you guys said "I love you" to each other?
Oh,
Write it down.
yeah.
A little higher.
Hi. All right. Okay, I get that.
Let me see you.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
How many is
very
that?
good.
4 out of 4?
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Who is better at remembering birthdays and anniversaries?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. 5 out of 5. We do one more?
Let's do one
All
more.
right. Who is the best driver? Okay.
Are you sure yours already?
Yeah, we see yours, let's.
Okay.
All right. Very good. 6 out of 6.
Very good. Very good.
Very good.
Okay, so let's just continue with our questions. Earlier, you alluded to the fact that there are a number of children, grandchildren that make up the family. And when you guys came together, Mr. Brown already had his children, and you shared just one. And you expressed coming into the relationship with a positive mentality, right? How has that helped your relationship?
Okay.
See where you are now and what you have with them. How has it helped the relationship?
Okay, so when I met them, it didn't, they were well-behaved kids. I could see for myself that they were well-behaved kids because when they came in, you know, they were very respectful, you know, they said hello, you know, they were a little shy because, you know, they didn't know who I was, of course, you know, and, you know, so they, you know, I could watch their behavior, their mannerisms, you know, they sat quietly, you know, and they, you know, they were very respectful, you know, so that was something that I noticed right away. And I said, well, you know, it seems okay. So, but then I was like, oh my goodness, you know, they're here, you know, what do I do? You know, how do I, so I said, how are you guys? You know, how are you doing? So like I said, I was a school teacher. So the youngest daughter, younger of 3 girls, so the youngest of the 3 girls, she said to me, oh, you know, I want to go to high school. So I said, oh, she said, I go to secondary school. In Jamaica, you have secondary, you have high school. They're like the same age group, but like 2 different levels, right? I was teaching at a high school. So she said, can I, you know, I'd love to go, you know, go to high school. So I said, do you want to go to high school? She says, yeah. I said, okay, you know, let me see what I can do. You know, she said, well, she does well. She gets good grade, you know, but, you know, she's not going to like traditional, let me put it like this, traditional high school. So my husband said, well, you don't have to. I said, no. If she wants it and I can help her, you know, I'll see what I can do. So I did help her, not to go into everything. I did help her to get into school. And then when the other boy was of age, I also helped him to get into school. But that wasn't the reason why we had a good relationship. We just bonded from the very beginning.
Yeah.
I had no problem. The girls, I'd invite the girls over and they'll come over. We go get her hair done together. You know, I'll make sure they have girl stuff that they need to have, you know, because they had a grandma and they had aunts, but not a mom, you know. So we started hanging, and there were kids that he wanted to be with, You know, they were very respectful kids. The oldest boy was like, we hit it off right away, still do. And he was just so into me. He was just showing me love. He was just like, he was ready for a mommy. You could see he was ready for a mommy. He was just so loving and kind and, you know, just wanting to be around me and that. So we did, and then we'd go out together. We started Saturday evening times, you know, they'd come up and we'd go to the mall together to get ice cream together. So we started making a bond. So I did leave and come here to the US for a while, but we'd still, you know, still keep in touch through the dad, through, you know, through my husband. And when I finally, when we finally got married, now this was the biggie. So I went away to the US, like I said. I apologize for that. Went away to the US, and we kept up the relationship as best we could with me being away. And then when I came back, it was 2 weeks before we were getting married. I actually came back. So I made them all be part of the wedding party, and they were all very happy to be part of the wedding party. So everybody was happy to get dressed up, and, you know, they felt comfortable being part of the wedding party. So that is a big thing right there, you know, because they had no problem being part of our wedding party. So it was a biggie.
Let me ask you, because this is a very interesting point that you just raised. I know that, you know, he told you about the 7 children before, you know, you all got involved, but this question is for both of you. Is there anything else that you wish you had known about your spouse before you all committed to each other?
I would say no.
No.
I really can't think of anything right now.
I can't think about anything, because I mean, we eat it off from the get-go. And I mean, every relationship you have, you know, your differences. But then when you can work your differences out together, it's very good. I always said when I'm emceeing wedding, is that facing your problems with togetherness is the greatest in marriage.
Okay. So here's a follow-up question. If you were to recommit yourselves to each other, I can even assume that answer, but if you were to recommit yourself to each other, would you do so?
Yes.
Or would you say, let's go our different ways, separate ways?
No, I'll be okay.
Yes, okay. So, okay, has there ever been an occasion due to misunderstanding that one of you had to sleep outside of the bedroom, or what has
out of the what?
Outside of the bedroom.
No.
We
all.
How do you handle frequency?
Even if we're upset, as she said, we always talk it over. You know, I mean, I will get upset easily. She will get upset easily sometimes, but then you work it out. Because, as I said, facing your problems is the best thing to do. Because when you face it, if you try to hide it, then it will resurface.
No, how do you face it? How do you face it? Do you take time away from each other, or do you deal with it at the spur of the moment?
We've never slept apart. That much I can honestly say. We have never slept apart. We have had our differences. We'll turn our sides. We'll turn our backs because we're upset. But like I never went to a separate room from him or anything like that. Never. And that's really the truth. What we do is, I mean, we'll talk it through. Of course, I don't mean like just talk it through. We'll argue our points because he has a strong point. I have a strong point. We'll both hold our strong points for a while, but eventually we'll come to a common agreement. Maybe not at the same time. Sometimes it took a day or so, a little time. Not always the same day. We'll be like upset, but we try not to drag it out. If something happens and we'll get upset, but so he's better than me, because sometimes if we're upset and he goes off to when he go to work, he'll call me in the day and I'm like, don't you know we're upset with each other? And we're just talking like nothing happened. And I'm like, but we're upset, you know. But he just start talking like nothing happens. And I just have to jump in line because not, to him, he has forgotten. So like he brings me right back to it. So, you know, we'll be upset and I'll be like upset. But then he go off to work and he called me in the middle of the day and he'd be telling me something of what happened. I'm like, well, we're upset. But for him, it's done. You know, so that brings me back in line and I have to, you know, we just work it through. By the time he gets home in the evening, we're just talking, you know, like nothing happened. So we'll have our arguments, we do. And what we do try to, you know, work it through. We do try to
okay, so here's the next question then. Give us one thing that you really hate about your spouse and you would like them to work on this thing.
Oh, well, let me go first. She's very tactful, very. And when you're talking to her, you have to be on your P's and Q's. So the slightest mistake or the slightest thing that you make, she will pick it up. So when she says something to me and I get upset, you know, she will continue to talk. And there's one thing she always do. When I'm talking, she will cut in and try for me not to remember my conversation. She doesn't want my conversation to flow. So she tried to cut it out. And I always pick it up and say, I know what you're doing.
Okay, so you'd like her to work on that?
Yeah, for me is he's a perfectionist. He likes everything perfect. I'm more of an easygoing person. I will just, you know, want things to be, well, he has to have things in order, like always. Everything has to be 1, 2, 3. Like if you go in is just a drawer, or everything is folded and neatly in one place. Mine is neat too, but it's not like as, you know, as regimented as his. So, and he'll walk in and be like, why is this here? For me, it's okay. It's just there. It's fine. You know, what's wrong with it? It's not getting anybody's way. It's not, you know, any big deal, you know, but for him, he always wants his things in, you know, in the perfect order. So that's the thing I have with him, you know, so he needs to let loose a little time and just let things flow, you know, not be so regimented like he likes. But he says I'm impatient. But the thing is, he says I'm impatient, and I think that's what he was alluding to. But the thing with my husband needs time to think things through. He has to have time to think things through. And sometimes we don't have time to think it through. So I'm like, this needs to be done. And that's why he says I get, you know, upset with him or try to talk it through. But he needs time to think it through. He has to work it through. But sometimes, you know, I'm like, honey, we don't have time. You know, this thing really needs to be done now. And he's like, well, you don't want me to think. I'm like, well, we need to just like get it done today, you know? Yeah. So that's why he says I'm the way I am. But it's just that he needs more time. I could just seize it up, get it done, move on. For him, he does need more time. I need to learn to give him more time to, you know, but it's something I have to work on. You know, I just want it done right away.
Yeah. All right. Here's part 2 of that same question.
After which we'll take a break.
After which we'll take a break. Give us one thing that you really love and appreciate about your spouse, and you would love them to continue doing that thing.
You go first.
He's a really someone who loves his family. He's a family man. He will work hard to make sure his family is taken care of. You know, he's a family man. He really, really, really is someone.
Okay, and we will continue that conversation when we come right back.
Okay.
going to continue with Mr. Brown answering the question. The one thing that he appreciates about his wife and would like to see her continue in that vein.
One thing. She's very tactful. That's the one. That's the one thing you asked, right?
Yes.
She picks up things just like that.
Okay.
And that's what I appreciate about her.
Okay.
And when she picks it up, she will put it forward and she will let me know. And deep down in my heart, even if I sort of get upset, but I know it's true.
Okay. So that one quality, it goes both ways with you.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Let's go back to money management. You were about asking, we asked earlier, when did your money become our money in the relationship? Or what is it like right now?
Well, let me go first with that. With the money, she's very, very good at financing each and everything. So I leave that up to her. And we will sit down and work it out. How much we put all the money together, what the bills that are going to pay, and we just itemize them and we put them together. This amount supposed to be saved, or that amount to go there, and such like. So that is key, very key to the relationship. Because as long as you can have good money management, that is applicable.
Okay.
Well, from the beginning, I can say that our money is from we got to know each other, from we got engaged. Then let me put it like that, because I was here and he was there. So pretty much something needs to be done. You know, I still kept my apartment, although I wasn't living there. You know, he'd take care of it. He'll go to the apartment. He'll make sure, the bills are paid. He'll make sure even if I don't send the money, he'd make sure, the rent is paid, everything is done. The same thing goes for me. If there's something that needs to be done, I'll send the money, even on his account, his part with the kids. It didn't matter. We just jumped right in. If I knew the girls here need to be done, we just did it. It's to go back to school. We just jumped right in and started, working together during our engagement. So by the time we were married, we were fully into it already. And so after we got married, I did live in Jamaica for a while, because then I got pregnant right after the marriage. So then I had my son. And so the kids came to live with us at that point, because, I was concerned they were getting to be teenagers. They were living with their family and they were well taken care of, but I still felt that they needed their dad, to be around their dad. For me, it was not a problem. We've got a house that was enough for everybody, and everybody got together, and we just lived together as a family, right there. And then from the very get-go, so we started off with a big family. And I must make note here that only 4 of the children really lived with us. The 2 younger ones were with their moms.
Okay.
The 4 really lived with us, and then 1 was older. She was here with her mom. So really only 4 of the 5 that really lived, 4 of the kids that really lived with us. The 2 actually younger ones never really lived with us. Once they got to know, they visited us. They were just like part of the family. We never let them out of family celebrations. We always kept them, they spent vacation time with us, so we just like everybody, all the kids were part of it, because they became involved with the family just the same. I never left them from their dad. I always try to get them to know their dad, and whatever I needed to do, I gave them the space to do it. Because for me, it was a big thing that the kids should know their dad. I grew without a dad, and that for me was not a good thing. So for me, the kids getting to know their dad, even the 2 that were between us, was fine with me. When they were older, they came to spend holidays with us, vacation time with us, because they and the other kids bonded. That's how his children are. They're very loving children. So we all and everybody was enclosed in it, although they were different moms. It was a big deal. Even today, it's still say the same way. They come, they're older now, they have their own spaces, but houses, but still the other two would visit them. So it's just a big family.
When you guys got married, right? There were children immediately in the relationship, and you gave them time to know their dad. How did it affect you getting to know your husband?
You know what? It's always okay. I'm a very independent spirited person. I don't need I'm not very clingy. I'm not a very clingy person, to be honest with you. I'm very independent. Always was. And so he would come visit me in the evenings after work, because we live a distance apart from each other. When we were in Jamaica, when we were just getting to know each other up to engagement. It was after engagement I actually moved here. So he'd come after work, spend some time, and we knew he had to go home to see the kids to go to bed and make sure their homework was done. I mean, their grandparents and their aunts did have them, you know, they take care of them, to be honest. But I still made him go. I didn't have a problem with him going home to see them before they get into bed. I had no problem with that. It was just something that was just natural to me. Like, what I want him to be with me. We weren't even married anyway. So what are you going to be doing? You know, he needs to, you know, so for me, it was easy for me to, you know, we spent time together. You know, he'd go home and be with the kids, see them go off to bed. You know, we just fell into that pattern. And then once we got married, I was the one who made the suggestion. He wasn't in agreement with me. I said, you know, we probably need to have the kids come live with us because I don't feel comfortable. Now you're going to be leaving work to come to me. You won't be going there to sleep because you go back home to sleep when we were dating. But now you stay with me. I said, you know, you probably see them after work and then they'll be alone all night with themselves or with, you know, I don't know, you know, they're growing up, they're teenage girls. I don't feel very comfortable. So he said, no, because, you know, I don't really want that. I said, sure, I don't mind. My friends were like, oh, are you crazy? You could take those kids. You ever hear about step kids? I'm like, you know what? I'm not comfortable, you know, just not knowing what's going on with them, you know? So anyway, he said, well, if you're comfortable with that, then, you know, I'll work with it, you know, but if it doesn't work, you know, then, you know, whatever. So we told the kids what the plan was and they were excited. They wanted to do it. So we got a place that was, you know, large enough for all of us. So we had 2 boys and 2 girls at that point. And so, and then I got pregnant right away after we were married, like a month, because I had my son, we got married in December, I had my son in October. So, you know, it was like right away.
Right.
So they came and they were excited about the baby. You know, everybody, I had so many babysitters. He was a spoiled kid with all those kids hanging on to him. So, you know, as I said, a lot of folks discouraged me, said, don't even try it. You know, you're going to be ruining your life. But I just trusted God, you know, and I you know, he was another thing, he wasn't a Seventh-day Adventist, but he became a Seventh-day Adventist. So, yeah. You know, the kids would come to church with us. We'd have family worship in the mornings, you know, so those things binded us together, you know. So we still laugh about our family worships in the morning because the oldest boy, he had a little piano thing that, you know, those electrical organ thing, and he brings every morning to play at worship, but he was playing off key. We're like, oh, you know, stop, you know, and he's still playing. No, he's a big musician from just playing family music on that little thing, you know. So we those things kept us together. We had family worship in the mornings, you know. He became a Seventh-day Adventist. The church supported us. The family supported us. Even the ex-in-laws, they've supported us. You know, so they would visit us, visit the kids with us. We just, I don't know, it's a blessing the way our relationship went. I know that's not the typical way a second marriage works, because we had God in the mix, and we were committed to each other, and the Lord blessed us with kids who were respectful and obedient. One thing I could point, if there's anybody in that situation like this, is when you get together, set boundaries. I'm very proud of my husband because when we got together, the kids came to live with us. We had a family meeting. He made them to understand who was in charge. And I also let them know that I'm not here to replace your mom. I'm going to be here to support you and love you, but I still made them keep in touch with their mom. I made sure birthdays, they send her a card. I did not try to separate the family at all. That was my philosophy. So I don't know if it will work for anyone else, but for me, just letting them know that I was going to take them away from what they knew, I think that made a big difference. I never tried to separate them, neither from their mom, neither from their dad, neither from their family, because kids' foundation, what they know, when you pull it away from them, it does affect them emotionally. And so that was the Lord guided me that way. I don't even know how I did it. Now I'm thinking back, it had to be the Lord who guided me to be able to manage the situation in that way.
And she spoke about the church. I was in the Church of God of Prophecy.
Okay.
And when I met her and started to talk to her, first of all, she invited me to church. And I'm a person who, I would just go anywhere. I would go. I'm very bold. So I went to church, and the first time I heard a sermon like that, and it was an elder who preached, and I said, no, I have to go to this church. So that's the reason. And I had a very good big position in the church that I was before.
All right.
I just come over to the Adventist.
You got a great control.
You felt comfortable to do more.
The first thing she did is she gave me the Great Controversy to read. That's the first thing she did. She said, you want to take a read of this. That's all she said.
Wow.
Very good.
So you've spoken to us. Tell us that you have no regrets in your relationship, and that you're happy with where you are right now with each other. Talking to each other, what would you like to say to each other? Something that you probably have said it in the past, but you now have the platform to express your gratitude or whatever it is that you want to say to each other. I'll give you the chance to do that first, Mr. Brown. Go ahead. To your wife. Talk to your wife. Just, 15 seconds.
Ladies before gentlemen.
Men before gentlemen this time.
Well, all I can say is that thank you for everything that you have done. You were truthful, and I appreciate each and everything that you have done for the children I have before, as you said, and I take note of that at all times, because you always set things in the right direction, and I really, really appreciate that. And that's the reason why, I always, sometimes I might get upset with some things that you will say, but I know that it is the right thing. But I will cool down shortly after that, because when I get back and think it out, I realize that it is within the best interest of the family. And that's why I always do that. I'm very, very tactful in whatever I do. So, and she always liked to, talk with me and show it to me and say, let us do it this way, let us do it that way. And when I looked at it, I recognized that it is the best way to do it.
Very
and
good.
I work with her with that.
Mrs. Brown.
Well, first of all, I appreciate that. As I said from the get-go, we were in a relationship that the truth meant much. And also, I got married a little older than the average person. So I'm grateful that he was able to give me my son. I only have one son, my baby, Jason. So, and now he's 31 years old. As I said, we got that right after, so he's like 31.
Mm-hmm.
So when I tried to remember how many years we were married, I said, how old are you? Said, whatever. I said, okay, we're so I know he's 31, we're married 32 years, right?
Right.
So, I thank him for, from the get-go, we went into a relationship that was truthful. I appreciate him, the way he treats his kids. He's a family man. He works hard for his family, even though they're grown up. They know we're there for them if they need us. We're not living together. Now with COVID, we don't even see each other. We talk, sometimes we FaceTime, but they know we're there for them, So I just thank him for that, and the fact that he was willing to, share my religious beliefs with me. He never encouraged me at all to not be who I am. He was willing to give up his situation to fit into my situations because he knew it was the truth. He adopted it. He knew that he got to know the truth. So that's a big thing too, so we're able to share the same values. We could worship together, be together. That was a good thing. I'm not going to say anybody should go out and find a husband who's not the Seventh-day Adventist. They may not be so lucky, so blessed like I am, so, but, as I said, our relationship is not the normal relationship, but, we've seen where the Lord has used our lives to bless others. So though it's not a typical one, the Lord has really, because our children always said to us, because they're all married like 20-something years, because one of the girls are married 25 years, one's married 28 years, one 27 years, they got married 6 years after us. So if we're 32, she's 26 years married, and one is 25 years married. So they always said, you guys are inspiration, so we have blessed others' lives. So for that, we're grateful that the Lord has been good to us in that way. And the other one, they're good. Their years of marriage are pretty good,
Well, thank you very much for sharing your experiences with us. And I am certain that our viewers have learned quite a bit from your marital relationship. And we too have learned from you. Thank you very much for joining us on All That Matters. And we will see you next time.
Okay. Thank you for having us. Appreciate your having us. Appreciate it. God bless.
Thanks to you as always.
Thank you.
Okay, God bless.
You may recall a television show called The Brady Bunch. It was a father with 3 children who found love with a lady who had 3 children of her own also. So you had 8 diverse personalities coming together to form a family, a blended family. But the surprising reality is they identified and live as one wholesome unit. There are different types of families with all types of issues compounded, especially when individuals are not biologically related. But we have witnessed that boundaries and, most importantly, love will make certain that everyone will feel accepted. Do you have a blended family? Know that it will not be perfect, but getting flexible, having humility, speaking gently, appreciating each person's strength and weaknesses. Know that honing in such interpersonal skills will make it very difficult for an outsider to know that you are a blended family. So until then, enjoy your family. This has been All That Matters.
And see you next time.